Why-oh, what's good, fam? You won't believe the chaos I unleashed in our small-town record shop in Athens, Georgia. One reckless night, a forbidden spark with my stepdad, Jasper, lit a fire that burned everything down: family, trust, secrets exposed. It's messy, it's raw, and it's gonna leave you shook. Hit that subscribe, smash the bell, and let's dive into this wild story. Buckle up, 'cause it's a roller coaster. It was a sticky summer night in 2023, Athens, Georgia, the kind where the air clings to your skin. I'm Callie, 22, buzzed on cheap whiskey from a Clayton Street dive bar. My boots scuffed the pavement as I headed to our family's record shop, Vinyl Haven, its neon sign buzzing faintly. The place was quiet after hours, just the hum of a distant jukebox. Jasper, my stepdad, 48, was in the back room, sorting vinyls under a flickering bulb. His faded denim shirt was half open, gray streaks in his dark hair catching the light. He used to shred guitar in grunge bands, total rockstar vibes that hit me like a chord I couldn't shake. My mom, Elise, was at her pottery class, glazing mugs, oblivious. She'd lose it if she caught me sneaking around past midnight. She once grounded me for skipping her book club. But that whiskey had me bold, reckless. I wanted trouble, and Jasper's rough edges were the perfect match. I slipped off my sneakers, the cool floor grounding me, and leaned against a crate of records. "Jasper, these vinyls are older than you," I teased, my voice soft but sharp, fishing for a reaction. "No one's buying this junk." He glanced up, eyes keen, a smirk tighting his lips. "You're messing up my system, Callie," he said, his tone biting but playful, like he was in on the game. He didn't look away, and I felt it, a pull, dangerous, electric, like static before a storm. I pushed further, sliding a record from the stack, letting my fingers graze his. The touch was brief, deliberate, sparking heat. "Bet you'd look better spinning tracks than sorting am," I said, my scarf slipping off my shoulder, a move I knew he'd notice. Jasper's hand froze near mine, not touching, but close enough to make my pulse race. "Glow like yours is trouble," he said, voice low, half serious, with a bite I craved. His eyes held mine, and the air crackled, thick with what we weren't saying. Elise's pottery class was ending soon. I'd ignored her text about a city art grant, buzzing in my pocket. Her shadow loomed, like she'd sense if I laughed too loud. But I didn't care. I wanted Jasper to notice me, to feel the heat I was stoking. I tilted my head, grinning. "Shop needs more fire, Jasper. You're too tame these days." He slid a record aside, stepping closer. "Fire ain't my issue," he said, his hand hovering near mine, the space between us alive with tension. The backroom's hum of distant bar noise made us feel alone, cut off from the world. I grabbed a Tom Waits vinyl, worn but timeless, flipping it in my hands. "I'll swipe your best stuff someday," I said, my voice a jab, meaning it. He smirked, leaning in just enough. "Stuff like you's tough to manage." His words landed, and my heart skipped, because I wanted him to react, even with Elise's presence lingering like a warning. Suddenly, Elise's car pulled up outside, headlights cutting through the shop's front. Her voice called out, sharp, "Callie, you in there?" My stomach dropped. I tossed the record down, muttering, "Just checking inventory." Jasper grabbed a stack of vinyls, saying, "Organizing," his tone flat, like he hadn't just leaned in. His glance was brief, but I felt it. He knew I'd felt the spark. I shouted, heading out, and bolted for the door. Elise stood at the counter, eyes narrowing at my scarf, now loose. "Why were you here so late?" Her gaze flicked to the backroom's light, a detail she'd store. I shrugged, saying the bar ran late, my steps quick, not looking back at Jasper. But I felt his eyes, heavy, knowing he'd stayed silent, letting me carry the weight of what I'd started. Days later, I was over Elise's pottery sketches cluttering our kitchen table. Her voice droned on a client call about a community mural, all artsy nonsense. I saw my chance to up the stakes with Jasper. I threw on a cropped hoodie, zipper low, and headed to the shop's office, a tight corner behind the counter stuffed with invoices and faded gig posters. The place smelled of coffee and vinyl, a mix that felt like Jasper's world. He was at the desk, sorting orders, his denim shirt open, silver-flecked hair messy. Less shop owner, more the guy who'd jammed with bands I'd kill to meet. A vibe I'd wanted to crack since that backroom night. I dropped a flyer for Elise's art fair, saying, "Your record sale's gonna flop without some edge." He looked up, dry as ever. "You're stirring chaos, Callie." His tone snapped, but his eyes hit my hoodie, lingering, saying he wasn't brushing me off. I leaned on the desk, nudging the flyer slow, making him watch. Elise's fare needs your old stage charm, I said, letting my hoodie slip open a bit, just enough. His pen stopped, and he said, "Crowds like you are hard to read." His words were slow, skeptical, like he was weighing how far I'd go. His hand slid invoices, brushing the air near my fingers, not touching, but sparking heat. My heart pounded. Elise's call could end any second. She'd already grilled me about a late night at the shop. The risk made me bold, not nervous. I was in control. I shifted, saying, "You've forgotten how to work a crowd." My hoodie slipped further, deliberate, to keep his eyes. He set his pen down, standing, saying, "Crowds like you are tough." His voice was low, a challenge. His hand moved to a shelf, grabbing a record, brushing air by my arm. The office's buzz of shop chatter made us feel alone, but Elise's call was a shadow, her last question about my hours fresh in my mind. Guilt crept in when I saw Elise's photo on the desk, her smile a stab at what I was risking. I leaned closer, voice daring. "Figuring me out takes more than your usual moves." Jasper stepped to the shelf, grabbing another record. "Moves ain't my thing now," he said, his tone rough, like he was calling my bluff. I moved beside him, saying, "I'd help if you admitted I shook you." My fingers brushed the shelf, keeping him locked. The shop's noise faded, like we'd shut out the world. Elise's presence loomed, her text a whisper in my pocket. I wanted to push, but a delivery guy's shout about a late shipment cut through, breaking the spell. I stepped back, laughing it off. "We spooked him." My voice was light, but Jasper's words had landed, and guilt hit harder, a weight I couldn't shake. I grabbed my bag, saying, "Your sale's fine, you don't need me." He smirked, calm. "You'll be back, Callie. Bet on it." Elise's text buzzed, asking where I was, like she'd caught a wrong note. I headed out, steps quick, the shop's coffee scent lingering, knowing I'd pushed too far. 10 days later, Jasper's office vibe wouldn't leave me. Elise's pottery was all over our house, her client calls about park murals endless. I saw my shot to crack his cool. I slipped into the shop's sound booth to help him tune a guitar for a promo video, wearing a loose tank top, low-cut, ready to push. The booth was small, soundproof, lined with foam and old gig posters, smelling of wood polish and amps. Jasper was tweaking a Fender, sleeves rolled, silver-flecked hair soft in the light. Less shop owner, more the guy who backed bands I'd die to jam with. A vibe I'd craved since the back room. I shut the door, saying, "Your video's gonna tank without some grit." He looked up, snarky. "You're crashing my work, Callie." But his eyes hit my top, locked, saying he wasn't dodging. I leaned on the mixing board, saying, "Elise's art fair needs your stage swagger." My fingers brushed a cable, slow, deliberate, making him notice. He set the guitar down. "Notes like yours are hard to play," he said, voice low, skeptical, like he caught my move and wasn't sure how to counter. His hand adjusted a mic stand, grazing air by my arm, not touching, but sparking fire. My pulse raced. Elise's call could end soon. Her last nag about my schedule was fresh. The risk made me bold, running the show. I shifted, saying, "You've forgotten how to hit the right notes." My tank top slipped, on purpose, to keep his eyes. He stood, saying, "Notes like you are hard to play." His words were slow, a challenge. His hand lingered near the mic, rough, stuck between pulling back or stepping in. The booth's hum of amps cut us off from the world. Elise's call was a shadow. I leaned closer, voice low. "Playing me takes more than your tricks." Guilt hit hard when I saw Elise's sketchbook on a shelf, her park doodles a stab at what I was risking. Jasper stood, his voice dropping, raw. "I've tried to keep this straight, Callie, but you're making it impossible. I feel something real, and I shouldn't." His words hit like a chord, raw and unguarded. I froze, fingers tight on the cable, because I'd pushed for this, but hearing it? It burned. A rush I'd chased, now burning too bright. "You better mean it," I said, my voice soft, shaky, because I felt it too, and it scared me, even as it pulled. I stepped closer, saying, "Real's my sound." My hand brushed the mic stand, honest, stinging. The booth's silence wrapped us, like no one could touch us. But Elise's voice broke through, calling from the shop floor, pissed, sensing trouble. I pulled back, saying, "Just helping," my voice cracking. Jasper grabbed the guitar, saying, tuning, his tone flat, like he hadn't just bared himself. His glance was quick, knowing we'd gone too far. I shouted, "Be out soon," and headed for the door. Elise stood waiting, eyes narrowing at my top, asking, "Why were you here late?" Her gaze flicked to the booth's light, a detail she'd hold. I said I was sorting promo stuff, shrugging, steps fast, not looking at Jasper, but feeling his eyes, knowing he stayed quiet, letting me carry it. The booth's hum lingered in my head as I walked home, Jasper's confession burning. 2 weeks after that confession set me ablaze. I was done with Elise's pottery sketches cluttering our living room. Her voice hummed on a client call about park trails, and I saw my chance to push further. I tagged along with Jasper to a warehouse across Athens to sort promo gear for a music fest. His raw words in the booth, "feeling something real," kept replaying, and I wanted to test him, shake his cool. Elise's sharp instincts, like when she caught my shaky excuse after the booth, had me careful, but toying with Jasper was a rush I couldn't ditch. I slipped on a loose t-shirt, sleeves rolled, and followed. Elise's text about a client deal sat ignored, her voice a warning I brushed off. The warehouse was a maze of crates, smelling of dust and cardboard, forklifts humming in the distance. Jasper stood by a table, sorting flyers, his denim shirt creased, hair messy, less shop owner, more the guy who'd backed bands I'd kill to see. A vibe I'd craved to crack since the back room. I dropped my bag on a crate, saying, "Your promo needs a boost, Jasper." My voice was sharp, grinning, to grab him. He looked up, dry. "You're here uninvited." His tone was snarky, but his eyes hit my sleeves, a look not shutting me out. I stepped to the table, saying, "Elise's art fair has more pull than your posters." My fingers slid a flyer, slow, to catch his eye, knowing Elise was tied up, but her call could hit. The risk made me bold, steering this. I leaned over, saying, "You've lost your knack for crowds." My t-shirt shifted, on purpose, to keep his attention. He set posters down, saying, "Crowds like you are tough." His words were slow, skeptical, weighing his play. His hand pushed a box, brushing air near my arm, not touching, but sparking heat. His hands were rough, stuck between stepping back or leaning in. The warehouse's clatter made us feel alone. Elise's call was a shadow. I slid another flyer, saying, "Handling me takes more than your moves." My voice was low, daring, not safe. Guilt hit when I saw Elise's business card in a crate, her name a jab at what I was risking. Jasper stood, saying, "Old moves ain't my thing," his tone rough, stepping to a crate, lifting a banner. "Need help if you're stayin'. His voice was a challenge, matching my jab. I moved beside him, saying, "I'll help if you admit I rattled you." My fingers brushed the banner, keeping him locked. The warehouse's noise faded, like we'd blocked the world. Elise's presence loomed, her text a whisper. I wanted to push, but a worker's shout, cursing a dropped crate, cut through, shifting the mood. I stepped back, laughing it off. "We spooked him." My laugh was forced, because Jasper's words landed, and I'd leaned too close. Guilt was sharper, a weight I couldn't dodge. I grabbed my bag, saying, "Your promo's set, you don't need me." He said, "You'll be back, I'd bet on it," his tone calm, like he saw my next step. Elise's text buzzed, asking where I was, catching a wrong note. I headed out, saying I'd walk, not wanting his shadow. 1 week after the warehouse, I pulled Jasper to a Clayton Street dive bar to help with a shop promo. Tired of Elise's design emails piling up, her voice droning about plaza layouts, I needed to push him to the limit. His booth confession, "feeling something real," kept replaying, and a pre-game whiskey shot made me fearless. Elise's sharp eye, like when she caught my weak excuse after the booth, had me cautious, but toying with Jasper was a rush I couldn't quit. I threw on a loose tank top, sleeves rolled, and met him at the bar. The place was loud, neon buzzing, air thick with beer and smoke. Jasper stood by a small stage, tuning a Gibson, denim shirt open, silver-flecked hair messy, less shop owner, more rock star I'd wanted to crack since the back room. I stepped up, saying, "Your promo needs my energy." My voice was sharp, grinning, to hook him. He shot back, "You're crashin' my plan." His tone was snarky, but his eyes caught my top, not backing off. I grabbed a guitar, strumming a chord, saying, "You'll flop without me." My tank top shifted, a move to grab his attention, subtle to stay safe. He strummed a riff, saying, "You'll push too far." His hand brushed the fretboard near mine, not touching, but sparking fire. His eyes held mine, daring me to go on. I leaned closer, voice low. "I'll steal your spotlight if you don't step up." My fingers slid along with the tar neck, a bold nudge to keep him locked, knowing Elise could call. Her last question about my late night was fresh. The risk pushed me harder, in control. Jasper said, "Stealing from me takes more than your tricks." His tone was rough, a skeptical edge I liked. I grinned, saying, "Tricks are my specialty." Guilt hit, seeing Elise's name on a bar flyer for her art fair, a stab at what I was risking. The bar's noise, clinking glasses, chatter, made us feel alone, but Elise's shadow loomed. Her text was a whisper. I wanted to push, but a drunk patron's shout, cursing a spilled drink, cut through, shifting the vibe. I stepped back, saying, "We spooked him," my laugh forced, because Jasper's look landed, and I'd leaned too close. Guilt was sharper, a weight I couldn't shake. I set the guitar down, saying, "Your promo's fine, you don't need me." He said, "You'll be back, I'd bet on it," his tone calm, knowing my next move. Elise's call hit, pissed, asking where I was, loud over bar noise. I said I was helping Jasper, voice quick, guilt surging as I headed out. At home, her eyes caught my flushed face, details she'd hold. 1 week after our bar jam set me ablaze, I slipped into the shop's office on a stormy Monday night. Elise's design binders cluttered our home, her absence at a client meeting a chance to push my game with Jasper to the limit. His booth confession and bar riff burned, and I wanted to end this, not reckless, but with a showdown to expose his secrets. Elise's instincts, like when she caught my flushed face, had me on edge, but outplaying Jasper was a rush I couldn't quit. I wore a loose t-shirt, sleeves rolled, and stepped in. Jasper was at the desk, sorting receipts, denim shirt open, silver-flecked hair messy, less shop owner, more the rock star I'd been unraveling, hitting me like a chord I couldn't shake. I leaned on the desk, smirking. "Your receipts are as dull as your old gigs." He looked up, snarky. "You're ruining my night, Callie." But his eyes locked on mine, like he'd been waiting. I slid a flyer for Elise's art fair, my t-shirt shifting, a subtle move to keep his focus, knowing Elise could show. Her last text about a vendor deal sat ignored. The risk made me bold, in control. He set his pen down, saying, "Charm like mine's too much for this stage." His words were slow, skeptical. His hand pushed papers, brushing air near my fingers, not touching, but sparking fire. His hands felt heavy, like he was trapped. The office's hum of rain made us feel alone. Elise's binders at home were a reminder of what I risked. I stood, saying, "Too much is my style." My voice was a low challenge, stepping closer, saying, "You've dodged me since the bar." My fingers trailed the desk, keeping him pinned. Guilt was sharp, because I'd gone too far, felt too much. Elise's photo on the wall, a family shot from last summer's picnic, cut through my nerve. Jasper rose, saying, "I ain't dodgin', but you make it impossible to stay steady." His voice was rough, guard down. I froze, hand on receipts, because I'd pushed for this, but the weight of Elise's trust, our family, hit hard. Guilt was louder than the storm. I pulled out emails, printouts of his plans with Mara, his betrayal of Elise, of me, and slapped them on the desk. Thought I wouldn't find out? His face paled, eyes steady, and I stepped closer, voice low. "You crossed the wrong one." Elise's car roared in early, her voice slicing through, calling me, furious, sensing a break. I stepped back, saying, "Just sorting," my voice shaky, while Jasper shoved emails into a drawer, saying, "Working," his tone flat, glance quick, knowing we'd gone too far. Elise stormed in, eyes blazing, screaming, "What be you done, Callie?" Her voice shredded, saying she'd seen my late nights, Jasper's excuses, my dodges, accusing him of betraying her again. She threw a binder at the wall, yelling I'd broken her trust, broken us. I cracked, confessing, I pushed him, but he's been with Mara. Elise's scream choked, Jasper's silence a roar. The office's rain-soaked light spilled out, leaving me to face the wreckage I'd lit. The rain pounded harder outside Vinyl Haven's office, each drop a hammer on my nerves. Elise's scream still echoed, her face twisted with betrayal, her binders splayed on the floor like a broken promise. Jasper stood frozen, his silence louder than the storm, his eyes avoiding mine, avoiding her. I'd wanted to unravel him, to expose his secrets, but the wreckage I'd caused was more than I'd bargained for. My chest tightened, guilt and adrenaline warring inside me, as I realized I'd shattered not just Elise's trust but the fragile balance of our family. Elise turned to Jasper, her voice a raw whisper now. "Mara." Again? Her words trembled, slicing through the air. She didn't look at me, but I felt her pain, a weight I'd added to. Jasper's jaw clenched, his hands gripping the desk's edge, knuckles white. "It's not what you think," he started, but his voice cracked, unconvincing. Elise laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. Not what I think. I've seen the late nights, the calls you dodge. And now her? She jabbed a finger at me, her eyes flashing. You let this happen. I wanted to scream that I hadn't meant for it to go this far, that I'd only wanted to push, to feel something alive in this suffocating small-town life. But the truth was uglier. I'd chased the thrill of Jasper's attention, knowing it was wrong, knowing it could break us. Elise, my voice faltered, words useless against her rage. She cut me off, stepping closer, her pottery-stained hands shaking. You're my daughter, Callie. How could you? The word daughter stung, a reminder of the bond I'd torched. Jasper finally moved, shoving the emails deeper into the drawer, as if hiding them could erase what I'd exposed. Elise, let's talk, not here, he said, his tone low, pleading. But she wasn't having it. She grabbed the family photo from the wall, last summer's picnic, all smiles, and hurled it at him. The frame shattered, glass scattering like my control. There's no talking left, she spat. You've both ruined us. I stepped back, my boots crunching on glass, my heart pounding. I'd wanted to be the one in charge, the one who called the shots, but now I was just a kid caught in the mess I'd made. I didn't know about Mara until I found those emails, I said, my voice small, desperate to shift some blame. But Elise's eyes burned through me. You knew enough to play your games, she said. You're not innocent. The office felt smaller, the rain's roar closing in. Jasper looked at me then, his eyes heavy with regret, maybe for what he'd said in the booth, maybe for letting me push him. Callie, go, he said, voice rough but not cruel. I wanted to argue, to fix this, but there was no fixing it. I grabbed my bag, the weight of their stares crushing me, and stumbled out into the storm. The neon sign flickered as I walked away, Athens streets blurring through rain and tears. I'd lit the match, but the fire had consumed us all, and I didn't know how to rebuild from ashes.